is sit back and relax. So I fly Southwest Airlines a lot, and they're always be clowning. They've been doing this for years, you know, and they sometimes they sing their instructions to the passengers, or they do it in rhyme, or they always be clowning. You know, the kind of thing where, you know, the oxygen mask is going to drop down, and if you're traveling with a child or a husband who acts like a child, you know how they do all that kind of stuff to kind of clown. For two reasons. One is they want you to listen, and if you're laughing, you're listening. And they also, if you're nervous about flying, it kind of breaks the nervousness a little bit, you know. Even the pilot, recently I was flying to Des Moines, and the pilot got on before we took off, and good morning everybody, this is your captain speaking, we'll be flying out at altitude of blah blah blah. And our travel time, flying time is such and such, and here at Southwest we have the finest flight attendants in the business. Unfortunately, they weren't able to show up this morning, so we have Mary, Joe, and Alice. You know, they clown, you know, and so I flew from San Antonio to Los Angeles, but we had to stop in Vegas, and so the flight attendant was giving instructions, and she was talking about the exit row. I always sit in the exit row because it has more leg space if I can get it. So she says, you know, if you're in the exit row, you have to be prepared to help us in the event of emergency. So if you are unwilling or unable to perform that function, or if you don't know what a function is, or if you just don't give a function, please let us know. So, and I'm the only one laughing because I'm the only one listening. And so this is how she ended. She said, so sit back and relax, or sit up and be tense. Up to you. Either way, we'll get there in 42 minutes. And I remember thinking about it, you know, that's true. It is up to us. You can sit back and relax, or you can sit up and be tense. It really is up to you. Either way, we're going to get there. So, you know, we're always struggling, and we're always tense, and we're always fretting, and we're catastrophizing, and Jesus says, which of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? Sit back and relax. It makes me think of my mama, who wasn't afraid of dying at 92, and it kind of oddly exhilarated and excited, and I've never done this before, you know. She was just couldn't have been more thrilled. Or I think of my friend's sister Jeanette, who we went out to eat at a Chinese restaurant, and 3 days later she calls me and she says, you know, after we went out that night, I wasn't feeling good, so I went to my doctor, and you're not going to believe this, she tells me I have acute leukemia. And so there's silence. And then she says, I'm never eating at that Chinese restaurant again. And we howled with laughter, and 30 days later, when I told a packed church at her funeral that same story, we all laughed. Sit back and relax. You know, sometimes we can have our hair on fire. I've got a lot of cartoons in there about people with their hair on fire. And there was a homie I knew named Johnny who was always catastrophizing. He was always paniqueado, always, you know, upset, and oh my God, and what's going to happen, and like that. You know, every time I was with him, I had to say, cálmate cabrón, it's going to be okay. Just breathe, don't forget to breathe. And so once I was locking our office at one of our old headquarters, and he was there, and he was always exaggerating. He said, gee, can you kick me down with some fatty? I haven't ate like in even 3 weeks or something, you know. I said, I don't have any fatty, come with me, let's go to Food for Less. And so I go to Food for Less to see if I can coax the ATM out of some money, and he's kind of a knucklehead, he doesn't really play well with others, and I think if we go into Food for Less and we run into enemies or rivals, he's going to be a loquillo. So I said, stay here, I'll be right back. So I start to walk, and then I can hear this muffled, hey! And I turn around, and he's making señales at me. The keys, the radio, and I said, oh, hell no, are you kidding me? I will come back, and that car won't be there. So I look at him and said, chale ni mangos. And I make the praying hands and the cara de santucha. And I said, pray. So he rolls his eyes and he makes the face and does the praying hands, and it makes me laugh. So I walk about 5 feet and I turn back. And he's still in cara de santucha with the praying hands, which makes me laugh even more. So I go in and somehow I trick the ATM out of Tony Bones. And so I come back to the car and I don't really know how to explain this exactly, except that when I got in the car there was this palpable stillness and peace and tranquility and this vibe. And I look at him, I said, wow, you prayed, didn't you? And he's a yacker, he's always talking. And he doesn't say anything, he just nods. So I start the car and I said, hey, tell me something. How do you see God? Damn, gee, that's my dog right there. I mean, where would I be without him? And I'm driving and I said, well, so tell me, how does God see you? Well, I'm driving, so I can't look at him, and he's not saying anything. So I get to the red light, and I turn to him, and he has leaned his head back on the headrest. And I see this lone tear escape out of his left eye. And he says, God thinks. I'm firme, which means could not be one bit better. Don't change a damn thing. Sit back and relax. Times are tough. Often, almost every day in each one of our lives, times are tough. Times are tough here. We struggle and we hold our breath and we hope to meet payroll, and that's just the way it is. And if we were a shelter for puppies, we'd be endowed. But we're not. We're a place for folks who are a whole lot more than the worst things they've ever done. A tough sell, but a good bet. So, sit back and relax. Or sit up and be tense. It's up to you. Either way, we'll get there. Ruthie.